4 reminders that help me overcome analysis paralysis. Number 1, starting is the momentum that you need. It is extremely intimidating when you're just getting started, but trust that these little baby steps today will add up to leaps with time. Number 2, failures lead to growth. Every step is a winning decision or learning opportunity. Therefore, there is no way to fail. Number 3, take inspiration from others' success. Let the success of others add fuel to the fire inside you, because if they are an example of what is possible. Number 4, keep moving forward. Regardless of how things play out, we only allow ourselves to move in one direction, forward. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay, episode 83, Avoiding Analysis Paralysis. Every step is a winning decision or learning opportunity. Are you guys and gals ready to get into this, baby? Let's do it. Have you ever found yourself overthinking every decision that you become frozen and make zero progress? Do you ever find yourself comparing where you are at today to where someone else might be along with their journey? Do you hesitate to start because you think about all the work that needs to get done ahead of you? Today, I want to dive into how we can avoid analysis paralysis at all costs by reminding ourselves that every step that we take is either a winning decision or a learning opportunity. So I was hit up by Alexx Leedom, a fellow listener of this Bearded Man podcast. Shout out to you, Alex. And so he reached out last week about covering this as a possible topic on the pod. And to me, it was a no-brainer. I had overcome this when getting started in the podcast space and have done my very best to avoid this at all costs. From my experience, once you get the ball rolling and the momentum starts to build, you are more confident in your decision-making and can avoid this much, much easier. You begin to trust your initial gut reaction, and you spend more time putting thoughts into action instead of whiteboarding them and never actually taking a step. At some point, we actually need to do the work. It's good to slow down and think about where we're going and what we need to do to get there, but at some point, we have to put these thoughts or these whiteboard ideas into action. So what is analysis paralysis? It's when overanalyzing or overthinking a situation can cause forward motion or decision-making to become paralyzed, meaning that no solution or course of action is decided upon. Let me say that one more time. What is analysis paralysis? It is when overanalyzing or overthinking a situation can cause forward motion or decision-making to become paralyzed, meaning that no solution or course of action is decided upon. We become frozen. We're not making moves forward. In that case, we are stuck where we are right now. How do we avoid it? By changing our perspective about what failure actually means. So when I was talking to Brandon Conan, founder of Liquid IV, on this week's podcast, he talked about how every decision is either a winning decision or a learning opportunity. Either he makes the right choice and he continues to move forward, or he makes the wrong decision, which in of itself is a learning opportunity, which he then continues to move forward with this new lesson in his back pocket. So truly, it's a win-win. And I think having that perspective can help us overcome this analysis paralysis. So as we dive into today's podcast, let me remind you, beautiful ladies and gentlemen, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob Bay. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and Y. Share out this podcast on your IG story. Tell the world they need to be listening to this podcast ASAP. We're growing this thing organically, and I greatly, greatly appreciate all of you beautiful folks out there sharing it out on your IG story. As you already know, I literally fist bump myself in the chest, pounding my chest like I am some crazy dude when I see you people sharing it out. So please keep sharing it out and just know that I'm going crazy. I'm jumping. I got a lot of energy going through the roof when I see these podcasts get reshared and reposted. So please keep doing it. It is oh so much appreciated. 4 reminders for overcoming analysis paralysis. Number 1, starting is the momentum that you need. It is extremely intimidating feeling when you're when I'm opening up my notes app to a completely blank piece of paper, and I tell myself, hey, bearded man, you got to fill this out, because that's what I do for these solo podcasts. So I'm able to kind of keep moving word for word, and I try to make sure that every second of these podcasts count, because I respect your time and I want you to find value in literally every second of these podcasts. And so when I see this white sheet of piece of paper, especially when I'm getting ready to prep for any solo pod or guest pod, it's intimidating, very, very intimidating. But no excuses. The words always end up on the page, and I always find a way to make it happen. And the key is to start typing whatever is coming to my mind and not allow myself to overthink it. I just have to go with the flow and trust that the words will fall into the page. I know that I can edit it at any point in time after I've gotten that first draft. And so then when I do re-edit it a second time after I've walked away and I've came back to the notes with a fresh perspective, I can then fine tune it and make this podcast even sharper. But how did my podcast career come to life in the first place? By starting and letting the momentum carry me the rest of the way. So if on day one of launching my first podcast on August 31st of 2016, if I thought about all the podcasts I was going to need to record, edit, prep for to get me to where I am today in 2021, zero chance I would have taken that first step. It would have been overwhelming. I would have been scared. I would have been nervous. I'd be like, bearded man, how are we going to get there? Like, there is so much work to do. How are you going to pull this off? I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known where to start, and I would have froze, and I wouldn't have started because I would have been too worked up thinking about where I need to be versus where I was in this moment. So at the time, I wasn't worried about anything other than that first episode. And then I focused on the second one, and then the third, and then the fourth, and so on and so forth. It's like running, okay? Big runner guy. If you guys follow me on IG, you see me always posting these stories of me running. All right, I don't think I'm Usain Bolt out here, but I like to show, the behind the scenes of the bearded man life. But when it comes to running, always pick up your head every once in a while, right, to see where you're going, but stay focused on the 2 to 3 steps in front of you. At least that's what works for me. If you're somebody that can just run straight and just look out, 100 yards from where you are and just keep running, bless your soul, I cannot do that. Why, though? Why do I not look that far in advance other than it would be really tough to stay focused because you have to see what's in front of you? Is exactly that reason. Because it's intimidating when you look at how far you have to go. And you don't want to trip on anything that is in front of you. Truthfully, I would probably have the luck to fall on my face. So I think that's similarly with anything. Get the momentum going by taking those first couple of steps today and then again tomorrow and the day after that, right? So as my friend Reese Hopper, who I was just away for this past weekend celebrating his bachelor party, great guy. He recently wrote in his blog on reesehopper.co. Highly suggest you check out his blog. He said, quote unquote, so grab a pen, sit down at the piano, open the laptop, start scribbling, doodling. It doesn't matter if you are inspired or not. Create a habit of sitting down regardless. After a while, the work will follow. We shouldn't have these high expectations of what we're supposed to get done within a day. Why? Because it takes longer than you think, and that's okay. The longer it takes, the more time we have to grow. So how do we avoid analysis paralysis? Well, we think about what are the 1 to 3 things that we can do today, okay? We're not looking for these life-changing progress moments to happen. We're just looking to grow in any way possible. And it may not seem like much today, but you best believe that these baby steps will add up to some massive leaps with time. Number 2, failures lead to growth, okay? There is a special moment in one's life when it clicks, just like that, snap of fingers. I can't recall the exact moment it did for me, as it was something that I just grew to understand as I was getting into my creative career, and it's a beautiful lesson. There is absolutely no such thing as failure. Let's say it one more time. There is absolutely no such thing as failure. As I said before, as Brandon Cohen had said on the podcast that rolled out this week, there's 2 things. It's either a winning decision and we keep moving forward, or it's a learning opportunity where maybe things didn't go according to plan And now we take note of what we learned and how it will better prepare us for the future. See how the quote-unquote failure ended up working to our benefit? We flipped the perspective right on its head. Instead of it causing us to overthink our next decision or hold us back from making progress, we changed the perspective, and now we can use this quote-unquote failure to set us up for more success. So I'm going to be honest. When I was starting up this podcast, this show, it's the Bearded Man Podcast, back in January of 2020, I wasn't sure what this project was going to become, okay? I just come off 3+ years of running Purpose in the Youth podcast, which was dialed in, okay? Did I think that that first show was a failure? Not a chance, okay? I could write a book on the ways in which that project positively impacted my life. And you know what? I hope one day I do have the time to write a book, because that would be sick. So keep your eyes peeled. It was truly the vehicle for me finding not only my creative voice, but also what my passion was, which was the entire point and reason I started the podcast in the first place. The entire purpose of Purpose in the Youth. All this to say that no matter how many plays each episode got, I never saw it as a failure, and always as a learning opportunity, a way for me to get better and to grow. Because in the podcast space, that's what we imagine. You're only successful if you have X amount of number of plays. So I had to let this number of plays, if I had let the number of plays get to me, I would have saw it as a failure, the entire project, because instead I looked at it as all the personal growth as the real success. I had changed the perspective. So when we accept that all of our failures lead to some type of growth, we can nip analysis paralysis at all costs. It's gone. Bueno. Boom. Gone. Okay? We don't get frozen overthinking, well, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if I fall on my face? That's not going to be good. Well, the good news is you will 100% learn something from it. And hold on to that lesson tight and let it better prepare you for what has yet to come in the future. Failures lead to growth. Number 3, take inspiration from others' success. The easy excuse of not taking the first step is looking at the people you admire or the ones who are doing it at the highest level and thinking to yourself, I'm never going to be that good, so why waste my time and energy, right? The reality is you can be that good or even better. So instead of falling for the comparison trap, which will hold us back from actually moving forward, we instead need to let the success of other people inspire us. Why? Because they are an example of what is possible. If they can do it, you best believe that we can do it as well. So when I look at people in the podcast space, such as Joe Rogan, Jay Shetty, or Dax Shepard, I don't let their success deter me from doing these podcasts. I look at them and think to myself, these guys are the example. The only thing separating me from getting to this scale is staying consistent over a long period of time. I got this, okay? I look at them and think to myself, I can do this. I'm not letting their wins hurt me. I'm letting their wins be fuel to the fire inside me. So avoiding analysis paralysis means we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people and instead just focus on us. And how do we do that? By reminding ourselves it is you versus you. I'm not trying to be the next Jay Shetty, because if that's the case, I will always be in second place to him. I'm trying to be the best version of myself and see where that takes me, okay? The way I gain inspiration within me is by seeing what Jay and Joe and Dax and all these great podcasters are doing. Watching them inspires me. I keep telling myself, if they can do it, so can the bearded man. Let the success of other people inspire you. It should never hold you back from doing the thing you really want to do. Take inspiration from others' success. Number 4, keep moving forward. If you are a true bearded man follower, you know that the first tattoo I ever got was keep going with an arrow pointing forward on my left arm. Got this back in October of 2019 when I was closing the chapter on my Uber career, RIP, and began my new chapter with Liquid IV. There were more times than I could count when I was slaying those streets, regardless of the time of day or the day of week, when I'd honestly ask myself, is there ever going to be a day I stop driving? Is it ever going to happen? At the time, truthfully, it almost felt impossible. I truly believed that I could get out of it at some point, that things would change, but at the same time, you have the other side of you going, is it though? Bearded man, do you really have it in you? And I kept telling myself at some point it would. 3 years later, that change finally came. And how did it happen? I continued to keep moving forward one day at a time. I didn't realize it was going to be 3 years. But when you're in it and you're staying focused on the day-to-day, time kind of goes by and you don't think about it. You just do what's in front of you on that day. And I think that's the key with every aspect of your life, whether it's career, personal, relationships, health, etc. No matter how things play out today, we continue to move forward. If I go out and I run 5 miles tomorrow and I don't feel that great with the run, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do it the day after that and the day after that. And I'm going to keep running because it's truly a winner's mindset to always move forward. Analysis paralysis holds us back from moving forward because it's not as if we're driving. No, it is. Think about it like this. It's as if we are driving from the East Coast to the West Coast with a map, right? There's hundreds and thousands of roads to potentially take you from one side of the coast to the other. And the only way we will ever make it across is by quickly deciding a route and sticking to it. Now, of course, there's going to be construction, a bridge that's closed, a car accident along the way. Changes of the route will need to be made. It's inevitable. But regardless, we continuously move forward every step of the way. So how do we avoid analysis paralysis? We trust our gut and listen to our heart. We make decisions. We see where it takes us. And then when we are faced with another set of choices, we then make another decision. And the cycle repeats. We continue to move forward. Once we get into the rhythm and we can stop overthinking every little choice, we can get into this momentum of moving one and only one direction, forward. So to recap, it is extremely easy to fall for the analysis paralysis, and almost everyone does at some point. Is there ways to avoid it and train ourselves to overcome it? Absolutely. 4 reminders that help me overcome analysis paralysis. Number 1, starting is the momentum that you need. It is extremely intimidating when you're just getting started, but trust that these little baby steps today will add up to leaps with time. Number 2, failures lead to growth. Every step is a winning decision or learning opportunity. Therefore, there is no way to fail. Number 3, take inspiration from others' success. Let the success of others add fuel to the fire inside you, because if they are an example of what is possible. Number 4, keep moving forward. Regardless of how things play out, we only allow ourselves to move in one direction, forward. Quick shout out to Alexx Leedom for submitting this week's topic. This has been great and something that I hope is resonating with people, because it wasn't long ago that the bearded man had to overcome analysis paralysis, and definitely time to time here and there, I have to remind myself and check myself to keep moving forward and follow some of these lessons. So I hope this podcast has been somewhat valuable and helpful to those listening today. Challenge for the listeners. Have you dealt with analysis paralysis before? Is my question to you. If yes, spend 60 seconds today and commit a reminder that resonated with you the most today. Either starting is the momentum that you need, failures lead to growth, take inspiration from other success, or keep moving forward. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, or pick all of them, and write it down and stick it somewhere that you will see it daily, and read it and remind yourself. Little reminders set good intention for the day, and I'm a strong believer of it. And let this note be that flip of a switch in your mind so that you do not let analysis paralysis hold you back from reaching your inner potential. Questions from the BMC, the Bearded Man community. If you're new to the podcast, welcome to the community. You're now part of it. No annual fees, nothing. You're free to join. We actually didn't have any specific questions, but we did have a topic or comment from German, listener to the podcast. He said, set a clear agenda with clear end results. Sometimes working backwards is best. It's a really good comment, because when you do that, you're almost laying out the blueprint. You know exactly where you want to go, and now you're reverse engineering how to get there. So I completely agree with that. I think that's really important. And even thinking in my podcast career as an example, I always knew when I was getting into the game, I could picture and envision where I wanted to be 2 years from when I got started. I wanted to interview all these young, passionate, creative and entrepreneurs and successful people. I had it down. I knew where I was headed. And then I just realized, how am I going to get there? By one episode at a time per week. Eventually, time's going to pass. I'll have 6 episodes. I'll have 12, 20, 30, 40. It's just going to build with time. So I completely agree. I think we need to have some clear idea of where we want to go. Doesn't have to be specific, but it has to be we need to have some type of idea that we can envision. And then we need to think back to, what are the things today that I can do that are going to get me one step closer to that place that I want to be? Or even then, when faced with decision making, if I say yes to this thing, will it get me one step closer? If I say no, will it get me one step closer? And it allows us to make better decisions in real time in the day-to-day, which ultimately is going to compound and get us to where we want to be with time. So it's a great comment from German. Pod review of the week. Let's pull it up. Bada boom, bada bang. So I'm pulling these directly from the iTunes podcast app. If you'd like to be the review of the week, go leave a review. This is coming from Ben Logs. Subject line: one of the best pods out. Whoo, baby. I like that. He gave 5 stars. Let's go. He said, Bob never misses! Exclamation, 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 exclamation. 4 exclamation points. Let's go. I've been following Bob for a few years now, and the progression is real. Highly recommend. Great listen. And then he put 2 emojis with the dartboard. Okay. If you want to know if a review is official, it's throwing that emoji in there. So Ben, thank you for rocking with me, for following along this far. I hope you're enjoying the content, and thank you for taking the time to leave a review, man. Ben, thanks for being the review of the week. If any of you want to be the review next week, go to the iTunes podcast app. Leave us a review. We're at 58 reviews. We'll be at 5,000 pretty soon, and we're getting there. We're getting there. If you do have a subject you'd like me to cover next, please feel free to slide through my DM and let me know. Similar to like Alex, just let me know a topic or question you'd like me to answer, and I'll sprinkle some bearded wisdom. I don't got all the answers, but hopeful that some of this is somewhat valuable to all you beautiful folks. As a friendly reminder, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please, please, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob A. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Share it out on your IG story. Tell the world they need to listen to the Bearded Man. And, we're just going to grow this podcast one episode at a time. Today, episode 83, Avoiding Analysis Paralysis. Every step is a winning decision or learning opportunity. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya.